Okay, so we had talked about the functions of the kidneys, and we had said that pretty much all of that is going to be accomplished by these little structures that are called nephrons. You have a whole lot of them. You've got about 1,000,000 of these. And so what they are is this is where you are going to be filtering the blood. We had said that, when we talked about controlling blood pressure, we said remove water. When we talk about removing metabolic waste, we're talking about removing it from your blood, filtering it out. We talked about secretion of hydrogen ions. That's actually is going to happen here, but it's not. So it will happen in the nephron, but it's not being filtered. It's secreted. And you're going to be monitoring for oxygen levels. All of that is happening here in this thing we call the nephron. So we have two parts to a nephron. You have arterioles that are bringing the blood into a tuft of capillaries, and this tuft of capillaries is called the glomerulus. I don't know why I didn't write that on the board, because that's like one of these crazy big words that people have trouble with. That tuft of capillaries is the glomerulus. So we have a tuft of capillaries, and then this little funnel-like structure that surrounds it, which is the glomerular capsule. So the glomerulus is inside of the glomerular capsule, and so this is what we refer to as the renal corpuscle, and then all the rest of this stuff is a system of tubes. I had a friend when I lived in Tennessee, who, if people would ask him what he did for a living, he said he's a plumber. He's a urologist. So, that was his, doctor joke, but whatever. So the urinary system is all about pipes and tubes and things like that. So you have the glomerular corpuscle, which is the renal corpuscle, rather. Renal corpuscle consists of the glomerulus plus that funnel structure around it, which is the glomerular capsule. And then you have the renal tubules, which is all of this other stuff, the other part of the nephron. Now, there's a lot of stuff to talk about here when we talk about filtration, the first process. So we're going to talk about three processes that are going to be happening. We're going to talk about filtration, then reabsorption, and then secretion. And so we're going to start out talking about filtering the blood, filtration. Now, when I drew this up here, so it's filtering the blood. So it's an arteriole feeding into a capillary. And the capillary is that glomerulus, right? So we have what we call the afferent arteriole feeds in, and then carrying the blood away is the efferent arteriole. Now, I want you to notice, and it was not an accident that I drew the afferent arteriole as having a larger cross-sectional diameter than the efferent arteriole. This is the way it is. This is reality. And so what does that do? If you got a big pipe feeding into a capillary and a small pipe leading away, it's going to create localized high pressure in that capillary. And what did we say? What drives capillary exchange? When we were just talking about blood vessels in general, what drives capillary exchange is blood pressure. So we have a condition which is set up to produce higher pressures. And that causes the plasma, a lot of the liquids in the blood, to be filtered out. Now, unlike capillary exchange, we have a system of tubes that's going to carry it off. So the blood plasma is filtered, and then it's carried off in the renal tubules. So we filter the blood and we don't let it go back. And so filtration is going to be this first step in the formation of urine, and it's where we filter everything, all of the dissolved nutrients, waste, electrolytes, all of this stuff is in the renal tubules. And the renal tubules have three parts. We have the proximal convoluted tubule, the loop of the nephron, and the distal convoluted tubule, and it all is going to feed into a collecting duct, and it's going to ultimately end up in your bladder, and you're going to release it to the outside. So this is the functional unit of the nephron. Now we're going to have some special conditions that exist in and on the glomerulus. This little tuft of capillaries. We're going to talk about some holes being there, and then some cells that are going to be lying on top of the capillary.